Step number two also is that, for a lot of people, as you know, in India, in the last 4 to 5 years, there's a lot of digitization that's happened in financial services. People have gotten bank accounts, and now that people have bank accounts, they're also being onboarded onto payments platform like UPI. And as you were mentioning just a little while ago, UPI transactions continue to grow. So what this means is there's a lot of information or data about the way people use their bank accounts, how much money they earn, how much money they spend. Now, this information can become very, very important. This is what is called as the information collateral. And using this information collateral, whenever if you are an end user, right, you are applying for a loan, usually banks ask to verify your income statement because it's a very important step in any lending journey. And for a lot of people in India who don't have access to formal finance, the idea of account aggregator is now that you can aggregate all your accounts in one place, get your information in one place, you will now be able to share this data very seamlessly with lenders who will probably give you better financial products. So that's really what account aggregator is aiming to enable. 5 years ago, something like this happened with UPI, where, UPI gave you access to your money in the most seamless way and allow you to move that money from your account to somebody else. It could be someone in your family, it could be a merchant where you're purchasing something. Similarly, account aggregator is a way for you to get your data from your bank or any other financial institution where you have an account and very specific purpose. I hope this helps. Did I make sense?
Yes, it does. In fact, my mother has said that she's going to be watching this to figure it out because she couldn't figure it out the last couple of days. So I'll tell you what she says. But jokes apart, so we can think of it as a dashboard which has all your financial data in one place. Now, Nikhil, tell me one thing. When all of this data is collected with consent, what is going to happen? And let me take a hypothetical case. Let's say I'm part of the banked ecosystem. I'm part of the formal ecosystem. I have a salary account. But from my previous job, I have another account. I have one credit card. With another bank, I have a car loan. And I'm using all of these examples just to simplify it. Will I have to give each of these financial institutions my consent?
Oh, so the way RBI has designed the account aggregator system is they've come up with a licensing framework. It's called the NBFC AA licensing framework. What this very simply means is that RBI is very serious about, who you have a relationship with and who you're giving permission to manage all your accounts in one place. So these are regulated entities whose sole purpose is to ensure that you as Nayantara, you can actually open an account with an account aggregator. You will probably get, let's say, your mobile number @AA as your address. And to that particular address, now you can link all your bank accounts. Remember in UPI, you can get a UPI address and you can link your bank account from SBI, from HDFC or ICICI to that particular address. Similarly, in the account aggregator ecosystem, you get to open an account with a regulated entity, which is regulated by the RBI, and get this address and then link all your accounts. So when you link your accounts for the first time, your bank, let's say if you have a bank account with HDFC, will actually verify whether you're the right person. They will send you an OTP and ensure that, the right person is linking the account. So this is the first step. Once you have created your account aggregator address, and then once you've linked all your bank accounts, then you can go to a lender, or let's say someone is building this beautiful personal finance management dashboard for you, and they basically request for permission. And when you go there, you will essentially enter your Nayantara @AA, and they will basically send you a consent request. You will open up your AA application, review the consent request, see what is this being asked for, how long are they asking this data for, and what is the data? What is the purpose of asking this data? And then you will enter your account aggregator PIN and approve this in a very secure manner. So only if you approve this, after you review the consent and approve it using
Nikhil, before we jump the gun, before we jump the gun, But before we jump the gun, I'm interjecting you there with a live example that a lot of people might be facing. You give the example of HDFC Bank. I'm not married, but let's say I'm married. I have a salary account, let's say with HDFC Bank, but I have a joint account with my hypothetical husband in ICICI Bank. Will I also have to give ICICI Bank the approval?
No, so it really depends on you as Nayantara on what all accounts do you want to aggregate in one place, right? So you could choose to say, hey, I just want to share my personal bank account, which is with HDFC, and I just want to see information from my HDFC bank account, and so be it, right? So you obviously need to link at least one bank account to, for the AA framework to be useful. But it's really up to your choice as an end user on how many accounts do you want to link in one place and get insights out of it. And once you get this insights or data, then you can choose to share it with somebody else who will probably give you more value added services. Does that make sense?
So then, yes, it does. So now it's up to me to create the dashboard with the amount of information I want to share. Now tell me, why is this being heralded as a game changer, the UPI moment for lending?
Yes. The reason why this is a game changer is usually whenever somebody applies for a loan, right? There are many different steps that one goes through during the loan application journey. Whether you actually apply for the loan at a branch or even on an app today. And one such very important step is what is known as income verification, right? So typically when lenders give you money, they assess what is known as your ability to pay and your intention to pay, right? So your ability to pay is essentially usually measured by how much money do you make every month, how much expenses are there, do you have enough money left over to pay the EMI, right? This is like a very simplified version of how a bank would think about before, giving you a loan. So in order for a bank to do a digital income verification, the way they were doing this before was, this very complicated process where you had to log into your internet banking, and from your internet banking, either download your bank statement as a PDF and upload it, or you'll have to give your internet banking username and password to the lender, and then they would essentially, go log in on your behalf and download the statement. Now, because of which, a large part of India, which doesn't have internet banking enabled at all, were not able to access digital financial products, especially digital loan products, right? So imagine 5 years ago how life was when we were making payments using internet banking. So very similarly, account aggregator basically simplifies that and says, you don't have to be an internet banking registered with a bank. You can use the AA framework, create an AA account, link your bank account, and using that, you can now share data for this income verification process. So the big shift will be actually in the user experience. Just for you from a mental model perspective to imagine is how life was if you were to make a digital payment using internet banking versus how life is now when you make a digital payment using UPI. Similarly, data sharing will also go through this 10x user experience where, instead of you essentially, logging into your internet banking to share data, you can now share it as easily as you would send money on UPI.
And what will be the difference? How will this democratize credit? So I understand the income verification. The user experience is going to improve. I don't have to run around now getting all of those statements and getting them attested. I get that now. But how will it democratize lending?
Super. So the big hypothesis here is that when you basically simplify onboarding, of users into a digital platform, it will lead to greater adoption and network effects, right? So even today in India, probably there are 10 to 15 million people who are active internet banking users. This is out of a population of 1 billion people, right? Maybe even the number of people who will probably making like digital payments using internet banking could be around 10 to 15 million people. So your entire digital loan journey is now basically only limited to these 10-15 million people, right? The hope is, just like how players like PhonePe and Google Pay came in and basically onboarded millions and millions of users onto UPI. Today, there are over probably 200 million people actively transacting and making digital payments. If there are more than 200 million people who have signed up for account aggregator, let's say in the next 3 to 4 years, the total target addressable market for lending, especially through a digital means, will go from 15 million to say these 200 to 300 million people. So that's the large hypothesis, which is essentially as more and more people come onto the account aggregator framework, they will all be eligible to, they will become digitally lendable because, their income verification, which is a very important step, can be now completed fully digitally with the best user experience without any friction.
Okay, so that's how it's going to democratize lending. And I would imagine all of this is also going to make it a faster process, because whether you need a car loan, home loan, we talk about how it's improving, but will this make the entire process even faster?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you're a product manager in a lending company today, or if you're in a bank, one of the biggest drop-offs that happen is essentially when it comes to this idea of basically sharing your bank statement or income information. And another thing to note is that, why this is also very important is that, earlier income verification was probably only kind of, limited to salaried folks, right? But in India, the way we have a large unorganized workforce who have now been digitized, who are using bank accounts, who are actually making digital payments. This includes like gig economy and people in that bucket and so on and so forth, right? So for a lot of these people, who would have probably never done internet banking in their life, right? This was probably be a very, very simple, easy 3 to 4 step process. Step number 1 is, sign up with your mobile number. Step number 2, select where do you have a bank account. Step number 3, review what is the information that you want to share. Step number 4, enter a PIN, right? In these 4 simple steps, you will now be able to share data. So it will not only improve the speed of this process, it will probably make the process a lot more delightful and also much easier for people who were who never had access to something like this before.
Okay, so this is how account aggregators are going to work. We try to simplify it for you, and that's what we got Nikhil on the show for. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for giving us your time today.
Thank you so much, Nayantara. Looking forward. Cheers.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short commercial break. Coming up on the other side is the founder of this tea brand that Oprah Winfrey loves. And they raised a lot of money. Stay tuned.
Co-powered by GE, building a world that works.
India's most experienced market anchor, you don't just ask the right questions, you make statements.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money. If the normalization in the world will happen, demand, which in a sense got destroyed, will automatically make a comeback.
When you believe in India's growth story, you will be known for your acumen.
For long-haul FII, who looks at India as still a promised land for consumption and for a growth revival destination, that pretty much is in the game. This crisis has surprised, I would say delighted, and has given birth to a new cult culture, both locally and globally.
Nikunj Dalmia, only on ET Now.
आज मेरे पास गर्लफ्रेंड है, वीडियो गेम्स है, सोफा है, खाना है। तुम्हारे पास क्या है?
उसके पास अपनी 10 लाख की नौकरी भी है। लॉकडाउन में भी बेनेट यूनिवर्सिटी के हर तीसरे स्टूडेंट को 10 लाख से ज्यादा की नौकरी मिली।
कौन बोला?
तो ड्रामा कर, पर बेनेट यूनिवर्सिटी में अप्लाई भी कर।